If you maybe kind of accidentally wished a monster would eat your parents, and then that monster did, but then hung around and killed pretty much anyone who got close to you, what would you do? Aurora can't catch a break with the monster under her floorboard, which is why she hired the hitman down the hall to do her dirty work. Problem is, he's bringing a whole hell of a lot of baggage with him. In this How to Beat video, I'm gonna break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the floor monster in Dust Bunny. We start out following Aurora, so scared of literal dust bunnies under her bed that she's decided to sleep out on the creaky balcony instead. Under the open moonlit night, she wishes upon a shooting star. Seconds later, she's buzzed by a firefly, which directs her attention to a strange man walking in the alley beneath her. A man that lives in her quite charming apartment complex. Aurora quickly descends the building fire ladder and stalks after him, ducking out of sight behind a dumpster and deploying her blanket hobo camo when he gets suspicious. The chase takes them both into a Chinatown festival, where Aurora dons a decorative bunny half mask to disguise her recognizable face. She's clever, brave, and has surprising parkour athleticism. Still, no shot she manages to track this guy rooftop to rooftop, alley to alley in a festival like this. He does seem to have a giant blue dragon tightly following him though. I'll tell you what, she's got a hell of a good seat for the show. The dude defeated a horde of assassins with some fireworks and a baton. I mean, he deflected a shuriken back into the thrower's head with a nunchuck. He slayed the metaphorical dragon. Peering from the rooftop, Aurora was mesmerized, downright giddy at witnessing a shogun slaughter. Skulls cracked open, limbs dismembered, entrails eviscerated, butters taking a ninja star to the eyeball. And you would have thought this sick little girl had just unboxed a Barbie dream house. Now, I gotta wonder what the point of that night walk in the park was. No way Lashif was just hungry for some teriyaki chicken at 2 in the morning and accidentally walked down the wrong alley. He must have intended to be ambushed by the League of Assassins, which is questionable. Yes, Lashif has mad skills, the element of underestimation, and was armed with a hardwood nunchuck. A man of his age, you wouldn't expect him to move like that. However, if we're being realistic, if I'm orchestrating the ambush, Lashif here is taking a cement nap next to his long intestines. Let me set this up. I'm not overtly and blindly following him with a bunch of dudes hiding in a fake dragon where he can dip around a corner and counter-ambush us. Nerds, the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood has infiltrated the world of Raid Shadow Legends. 5 iconic assassins are joining Raid Shadow Legends as legendary champions in full AAA graphic glory. One of the hidden ones, Basim, with his long sword and parrying dagger. The Spartan mercenary, Kassandra, dual-wielding a sword and a broken spear of Leonidas. The Egyptian, Bayek, with his Kopesh shield and warbow. The British pirate, Edward, dual-wielding cutlasses with 4 holstered flintlock pistols, and Florentine nobleman Ezio with his dual hidden arm blades. Ezio is a master assassin who can place a variety of debuffs to weaken his enemies before piercing their defenses with precise strikes from his hidden blade. All players can get the legendary champion Ezio for free simply by logging into Raid for 7 consecutive days. And if you continue logging in for another 7 days, you'll get extra rewards. Personally, I gotta get my boy Edward. That Boondock Saints flintlock chest rig is filthy good. Hitting that Colonel Harry Burwell Patriot sword block with the underhand 54 caliber ball gut shot, it's too good. There's even a new event dungeon antagonist too, Pontiff Augustin, a religious zealot who's discovered a piece of Eden in Teleria and is using it for his own gain. He's hiding out in the event dungeon, where you can assassinate him and earn time-limited chronophage gear, as well as gear from other valuable sets. If you unlock all 6 champions during the event, you'll earn an exclusive bonus reward. You can also participate in dedicated events, tournaments, and summon boosts to obtain other assassins. All these Assassin's Creed legendary champions are only here for a limited time before they disappear into the shadows, never to be recruited into your lineup again. Download Raid now on mobile, PC, or Mac using my link in the description to join the Brotherhood. Using my link, you'll unlock Tagoar immediately, an epic orc support champion, plus 300,000 silver, 10 magic brews, 1 energy refill, and a 1-day XP boost. Then, when you reach level 15, you'll also get Tayrel, an epic high elf champion, along with 200,000 silver, another energy refill, a 1-day XP boost, and an epic skill tome. This entire bundle normally costs $60, and you get it free. New players can redeem these promo codes within their first 48 hours to unlock free legendary heroes. Thanks to Raid for sponsoring this video. I'm directing him into a pre-designated isolated area where my men will be waiting, lying in wait with preferably modern suppressed weaponry. But if we're trying to stay on brand, bow and arrows or crossbows. If they'd done their recon on Lashif, they would know that he's well trained in the dark kung fu martial arts. After all, they had to know that he was adept by virtue of them bringing so many armed men out to attack him in the first place. Staying at a distance and surprising him is your best bet. Try to nunchuck a swarm of bolts zipping out from the shadows at 300 feet a second by a squad of Chokanu wielding snipers, while you're looking back at the blue dragon thinking the attack will come from there. On the route they chose, they could have attacked him in the alleyways leading up to where the main battle took place. I would have staged the attack there, as he'd be less likely to anticipate it. Why wait until you fully hit the dead end, at which point the target has no more options but to turn around and prepare for battle? Much better to hit him while he still thinks that there's a chance of escape. About the worst thing that you could do with this guy is run at him one by one going for Hail Mary fatalities that leave you vulnerable to counter chops. Instead, you encircle him and run full defensive blocks. When he attacks one side, the opposite side moves in from behind without fully committing, pulling him back into the center of the circle. Without magic cardio, your heroes will die tired. Lashif will quickly become exhausted, and through cardiovascular attrition, you can then move in for an easy execution. Think the Shogun scene with Mariko, or the end battle scene in Spartacus. Really though, if you know where they live, killing unsuspecting people is ridiculously easy. If they'd really done their pattern of life recon on Lashif, they'd have employed one of their assassins to work at his favorite restaurant or food stand, and sprinkled some orpiment in his egg rolls. Lashif only walked home mildly fatigued on the luck that his enemies favored over-the-top cinematics instead of pre-calculated overmatch. If I was Aurora, I wouldn't be heroicizing this dude, let alone following his blood trail. Back home, she's getting bathed and scolded for running off into the night by herself, while that magical dust bunny taunts her from across the room. That night, after she's tucked in, the dust bunny eats her parents.
Aurora?
Apparently, she's wise enough to know that if she stays off her apartment floor, it can't kill her too, which really makes those late night cereal runs a bit of a bitch. Maybe if she stopped feeding the damn thing grapes. That night, the situation gets so much worse. The dust bunny is now a dust mammoth. Okay, I'd maybe ask the nice man down the hall if she can stay there the night, on account of her parents being gobbled up by a monster who lives in the upside-down version of her apartment. Sure enough, that's exactly what she does, with the addition that she robs a church for $327 to pay him off with. Resident 5B is the alias that he's going with. With nothing better to do, and his curiosity about the monster under her bed that ate her parents, he pulls on his gloves and follows her. How lucky Aurora was to have a friendly neighborhood assassin next door. Someone willing to hear her out and attempt to defeat the literal monster under her bed for what amounts to chump change in the murder for hire world, instead of immediately tying her up as a loose end. He investigates the apartment. No blood, a bullet casing, and some long, deep scratches gouged into the walls. When he asks how no one heard the fight, not the neighbors, not even himself, She tells him the monster eats everything, even your screams. Unfortunately for Aurora, Resident 5B declines her job offer on account of there being no actual monster to kill. Aurora went about hiring this hitman wrong. She's smart enough to know that if Sully doesn't come out of the closet, Le Chiffre can't beat him to death with nunchucks. And so far, every encounter with the monster has been at night.
And they mostly come at night. Mostly.
It's pretty obvious she needs him to hang out in the apartment during the wee hours. $327 to have a tea party after midnight. If the monster's a no-show, he can take the church's money to Chinatown.
Alright, welcome to Shitty Walk. Take all the praise.
But if the monster really is hiding under the floorboards, he has to kill it. That's the deal. And it's not a good one, but it's all she has. The hitman leaves to do a little extracurricular digging on his own. He tells the boss lady, Laverne, that he believes their ops accidentally hit her apartment instead of his, ultimately killing the parents but sparing Aurora. Being in the paranoid high-stakes business of assassinations, Laverne suspects that Aurora knows too much about him, what he does, and when the cops inevitably arrive to question her, she could implicate him, and that could be bad for her and their business. Laverne makes it quite clear that Aurora is a loose end that needs to be tied up. This was a mistake on Laverne's part. If you get the sense that one of your hitmen has been exposed by a child that they've clearly developed a connection with, and therefore do not want to dust despite the obvious secrecy threat, you do not assign that hitman the job of murdering that child. They won't do it, and they will actively oppose you. You also do not reveal your intent to kill the child. If you don't fear reprisal from that hitman, you send a different sociopath, one completely disconnected from the girl, to kill her. If you do fear that your hitman might be upset about your decision, you send multiple goons to kill them both. If you fear your other goons won't be able to dispose of them with absolute certainty, because Le Chiffre here is your most lethal killer, you trust his judgment and his ability to contain the threat, as turning the table on him would be like shooting John Wick's dog. If you thought Aurora was bad for business, your jaw is gonna disconnect and hit the floor when you read the red line on your P&L after your best hitman wages total war against you. Naturally, the hitman rushes back to Aurora's apartment to prepare an ambush for the killers Laverne sicked on her. When the elevator is called down, he tells her to hide in the closet, then climbs up to the ceiling with a knife in his mouth, accidentally dropping it onto the floor moments before the assassins enter. Okay, waiting until less than a minute before they arrive to stage your ambush, then intentionally placing yourself on the X by holding an immensely physically exhausting position on the ceiling in Aurora's apartment, just moments before a fight.
Not a great plan.
Aurora hiding in the closet accomplishes nothing. She's still in the line of fire. Tucked into the most obvious hiding spot, the assassins will check. And being completely out of sight means that you can't protect her. Even if they don't scan high and low like they should and somehow miss your big-ass Spider-Manning on the ceiling, you're still risking exhaustion if this turns into a hand-to-hand fight. Pulling a Splinter Cell maneuver does earn style points, but it doesn't buy you much. You'd have about the same advantage as if you had just hidden in the blind spot of a random room. If you know assassins are coming to kill Aurora in her apartment, why in the hell would you hide there? Take Aurora and hide her in your apartment, where they won't be actively assaulting. I'm sure you have some kind of reinforced hiding spot that she can use. If you also know at least one of them is riding the elevator up, you can get the drop on them from behind. Color coordination was on point though. Matching your drip with your target's floral wallpaper pattern is advanced. Looks like he spent more time in the boutique clothing store than the wrestling mat though. Another assassin climbs in through Aurora's window and pretty much immediately finds her in the closet. For the assassins, don't use the elevator. That's how you get departed. More importantly, don't attack them in their apartment. They have the map knowledge advantage, and they know that you're coming, which means they're setting an ambush. She has to leave at some point for food, stake the place out, and snatch her then. Her bedroom's also right by a window with plenty of adjacent buildings overlooking it. Snipe her when she's staring at the night sky trying to wish her parents back to life on another shooting star. While Aurora takes a nap, the hitman strings up, bleeds, and butchers one of the assassins. When she wakes up, Aurora puts bows on each piece of meat. They take this meat to the boss lady, who's none too pleased. She basically tells them that this won't stop until they're both dead. So afterwards, they both go out for sushi, where another assassin makes his presence known. Lashif tells him to f*** off and walks home. This assassin and his band follow them down the middle of the street with weapons out in plain view, then just kinda hang out there for a while. During this time, a social worker knocks on their door. Lashif already clocked her as an FBI agent, so she drops the act pretty quickly. He fabricates a story about how her parents and the couple of foster families that took her in were killed by those bad men with guns awkwardly standing around in the street in view of their apartment window. It's some quick thinking that adds a few guns to his side. Initially, I wasn't sure how involving more third parties helps here, since it would likely just scare the assassins off temporarily. After that, they would resume the attack. In the meantime, you're stuck dealing with questions, separation from Aurora, and constant contact with people that you don't know, some of whom could also be assassins. Isolated and surrounded by strangers, they would be extremely vulnerable. That said, these killers are bold and they have the numbers. They were gonna make a move regardless of a couple people with badges. The FBI woman steps up to the door, thinking her teammate is on the other side. The assassins, stacked on the fatal funnel, fire a shotgun blast straight through it. Her bulletproof vest stops the buckshot. Tell ya, she's lucky they didn't kick things off with a battle rifle or aimed a little higher. I'm sorry, but if you know bad guys with guns are coming to your front door, even if you stupidly radioed your teammate to collapse on your position, she should not have gone up to that door. If your teammate is not responding on comms, assume he's compromised and the threat is close. Don't put yourself in a vulnerable position like she did. It was pretty obvious that they'd send a salvo through the front door to force entry, which makes it the worst place to stand. The firefight rages. Lashif and the FBI retreat into the bathroom. In this lull in the gunfight, they both notice the floor moving, with what sounds like a beast underneath. It's about this moment that he realizes maybe Aurora wasn't totally imagining the monster under her bed, so they both jump off the floor. The assassins don't, and run straight into the massive beast blocking their path. Unable to retreat because of the two FBI agents shooting at them from the hallway, they get gobbled up one by one. When the unwitting agents finally roll in to detain the remaining assassins cowering in the archways, the monster eats them all too.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Lashif remembers what the FBI agent said about the first family disappearing and the thumb-sucking deterrent found on the ground. He realizes this is the monster's weakness and grabs a bottle from the cabinet. All that's left to do is get the hell out of the apartment.
Aurora!
What happened to staying off the floor being a viable strategy? And just when Aurora was starting to form a connection with him as her new daddy. No! It's not long before the next morning, and Resident 5B emerges victorious from under the floor, surviving by having dumped the entire bottle of thumb-sucking deterrent down its gullet. Right, so that's what stops it. It's not over yet though, as Boss Lady Laverne shows up to finish what her assassins couldn't. Unfortunately for her, Aurora's monster hadn't gotten its fill. Laverne fires off her stiletto pistols into its face with no effect, and gets chowed down all the same. Well, all that's left to do is to get the hell out of the apartment. Except Lashif gets jumped again, but right as the monster tries to kill him, Aurora jumps in front of it. That's when they realize it doesn't want to eat her, because it's her monster. She wished for it, and thus she can tell it to stop. Damn. If only she realized this 3 families ago. Together, they drive off into the sunflower fields, the monster's shadow following close behind. I'm assuming Aurora's new dad here will need to amass a supply of thumb-sucking detergent and keep a bottle up his ass for the rest of his life, just in case. That, or maybe Aurora can get a handle on her monster, but she's a sick, traumatized little girl with a penchant for vendettas and a bolstered confidence of being backed by an OP evidence-swallowing murder machine. Personally, I'm gonna go ahead and say good luck with life, but, at most, we stay in separate buildings. Ultimately, everyone died except for Aurora and Resident 5B. However, if Resident 5B and the FBI staged the ambush from his apartment, all the bozos would have likely gotten eaten, and all the good guys, including the FBI, would have lived. Now, that would have raised a lot of questions and made life more difficult for 5B and Aurora, so it's probably for the best that all the witnesses had their untimely demises.
But wait! There's more!
For that reason, I think the floor monster in Dust Bunnies was beaten. Moral of the story, be careful what you wish for.